contacting the police every single day.
Florida Carey alleges illegal activities by the Charlotte County Sheriff Bill Prummell. Charlotte County, FL-Ammoland.com, it is alleged that the Charlotte County, Florida Sheriff's Department has been illegally holding gun owners' personal information, according to Florida Carey. As reported by thegunwriter.com, Florida Carey sent a letter to Attorney General Ashley Moody demanding that she launches a statewide investigation into law enforcement's illegal abuse, misuse, and general operation of the Finder database, including the compilation of lists of gun owners, and illegal retention of records. Florida Carey is alleging that the Charlotte County Sheriff's Department has committed a felony by unlawfully storing gun owners' information. According to Florida Statute 790.335, no government agency can knowingly and willfully keep or cause to be kept any list, record, or registry of privately owned firearms or any list, record, or registry of the owners of those firearms. Pawn stores must enter all pawn transactions into the Finder database. The Charlotte County Sheriff's Department, under the direction of Sheriff Bill Prummell, took it upon themselves to data mine these transactions to investigate the people pawning their firearms. In the act of pawning, a person seeking a short-term loan puts up an item as collateral for cash. Once the debtor pays off the loan, the pawn shop returns their property. The Charlotte County Sheriff's Department has been keeping records of these transactions, including the names of the debtor, the firearm, and serial numbers of the guns. Florida Carey sees this as a violation of the Sunshine State statute against using this information to create records of firearms owners. The Florida-based gun rights organization isn't the only group that finds this practice disturbing. Matthew Patterson, Director of State and Local Affairs for Gun Owners of America, stands behind Florida Carey and their concerns. Gun Owners of America share the concerns brought to light by Florida Carey Incorporated over the blatant mishandling and abuse of this data by the Charlotte County Sheriff's Department and Sheriff Bill Prummell, in clear violation of Florida statute, Patterson told Ammoland. This is not only unlawful and unethical but also demonstrates that law enforcement and other government agencies are more than willing to use data and information on gun owners to make a working registry, even if that means breaking the law themselves. This is a prime example of why Gun Owners of America is against any system that collects and stores information on gun owners, including universal background checks. It is unknown whether other sheriff's agencies in Florida are maintaining similar records. However, we at Gun Owners of America stand behind Florida Carey Incorporated in their calls for an investigation into these illegal activities. According to Charlotte County Sheriff's Department's internal emails, the practice has been going on at least since 2013. In February of this year, Florida Carey provided information to the state about Charlotte County Sheriff's Department's violation of the law. In May, the Charles County State's Attorney's Office reported that they had investigated similar incidents but determined the Sheriff's Department did not violate the statute. The investigation was carried out by Asa Anthony Konesek. Konesek is the head of the Special Prosecution Unit. Florida Carey reached out to Konesek and explained what was wrong with his investigation and outlined all violations of the law carried out by the Sheriff's Department. He reviewed the evidence but refused to change his conclusion. Florida Carey is now calling on the Attorney General's Office of Florida to carry out an independent investigation of the abuse of the Finder database to mine information about gun owners. The Attorney General has not responded to the demand. Ammoland News reached out to the Charlotte County Sheriff's Department. They provided Ammoland with a letter below by the investigator who investigated the charge. He states that the emails in question did contain the firearms and the owner's information, but it was not a list. He called the retention of these emails of no consequence. Ammoland reached out to the AG's office but did not receive a response at this time. Charlotte County Sheriff's Department, alleged illegal list of gun owners letter response. About John Crump. John is an NRA instructor and a constitutional activist. He is the former CEO of Veritas Firearms, LLC, and is the co-host of the Patriot News podcast, which can be found at www.blogtalkradio.com/patriotnews. John has written extensively on the Patriot movement, including 3% ERS, Oath Keepers, and militias. In addition to the Patriot movement, John has written about firearms, interviewed people of all walks of life, and on the Constitution. John lives in Northern Virginia with his wife and sons and is currently working on a book on leftist deplatforming methods and can be followed on Twitter at @Crumpus, on Facebook at RealJohnCrump, or at www.crumpy.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Hank Strange. We're doing another breaking news episode here with Ammoland and my friend John Crump, writer at Ammoland. And of course, if you can't tell from his paraphernalia that he's wearing, he's also with the GOA. What's up, John?
Not much, Hank. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for coming back to the show. What we're going to talk about here is Florida sheriff creates illegal gun registry. So that's the first thing that we're going to talk about. And this is a story that you guys are working with over at Ammoland. Before I get into that, unfortunately, folks haven't seen me on the interwebs, on the YouTubes and all that in probably a little over a week. Sadly, my mom passed last Thursday, so I had to go back to New York City to deal with that. I want to thank everyone that reached out to myself and Lola with their condolences. We really appreciate that. It's good to know that we've got lots of good folks out there that care about us, including you, John. I appreciate everything.
No problem.
Yeah. So, all right, let's jump into this here. Florida sheriff creates illegal gun registry. These are a lot of words that don't go together. This is actually not supposed to happen in Florida, right?
No, it's actually a felony that it's happening in Florida. But
right.
It looks like the Florida government really doesn't care.
Yeah. So just let's start by laying out the story here for us. Some people might have heard of this. I know that this story has probably been floating around a little bit here. But just lay it out for us from your point of view. I know you take time, you investigate these things. So what do you guys have?
Okay, basically, Florida has a system called the Finder system, and it was set up after 9/11. And every time a transaction happens at like a pawn shop or something like that, it goes into a database. Firearms information is supposed to be deleted from that database. What sheriff in Charlotte County is doing is taking that information before it's deleting it, copying it, then sending it out to his officers to investigate the people who sold or pawned firearms.
Okay, so yeah, let's unpack that a little bit here. So in Florida right now, if you sell a firearm to someone that you know, this is my basic understanding of the law. If you know someone and you know they're a resident in the state of Florida, you can sell it to them without going through background checks. This is what a lot of people like to call a loophole, but basically it's something that allows you to sell your property to someone who you know, like a neighbor, friend, relative, or something like that. You don't have to go through anything. And I know there's people working on closing that. And that's one of the things. The folks trying to close that, we're definitely against it. Now, on the flip side of that, if you buy a gun and then you decide you want to sell that gun, even if you're selling it to a gun store, obviously it's used, so there's set laws for that, right? Or if you want to sell it to a pawn shop, whatever, there's laws that that you have to follow when you do that, right? Did you hear me on that, John?
It looks like you froze up there for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so let me just go back. So if you have a gun in Florida, you've already bought that gun, gone through background checks or whatever you went through or didn't go through when you bought it. If you decide that you want to trade or sell that gun even to a gun store or a pawn shop, there's certain things that have to happen when you do that, right?
Correct. It has to be put into the Finder system, and what happens is, since it's gun data, it's supposed to be deleted from the Finder system once everything passes. But this sheriff is grabbing it before that has a chance to happen.
Right. So what business, like how would the sheriff come into contact with this info in the first place? That's one of the things I'm trying to figure out.
The sheriff has access to the finder system, so you can look at it for that day and you can see the transactions.
Right. So that might be like in the case of pawning stuff, or if you're selling something, if someone, let's say that person stole it, right? Because I know here in Florida, in order to sell things like that, you have to, like, if you're going to sell something to a pawn shop, you have to get a fingerprint. If you're going to, I think that works even if you're, like, if I'm selling my iPhone to Best Buy, for example, here in Florida, they do a fingerprint thing of you if you've never done it before, because you're selling something to them that might have been stolen, right?
Yeah, and that's what goes into the finder system.
Right.
The sheriff is basically data mining all the firearms information out of that system.
Right. So on what authority or what laws is this sheriff using in order to create this thing? I mean, I'm assuming there's specific laws in Florida that prevent you from doing this, because everyone's always saying that there is some kind of like underground or shadow gun registry, and but the law in Florida is supposed to prohibit that, right?
Yeah, section 790.335 of the Florida statute forbids sheriffs from doing this. In fact, it's a felony if they do it.
Right. So I'm trying to see if I could pull that up here just so I could share it with folks. So bear with me here for a second. I'm going to pull that up here on the screen and share it with everyone so they can see that. Okay, let's go here. Boom. So here's the law. And I'll pull that up. The 2019 Florida statutes. So the right of individuals to keep and bear arms is guaranteed both under both the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and Article 1 of the state constitution, right? A list, record, or registry of legally owned firearms or law-abiding firearm owners is not a law enforcement tool and can become an instrument for profiling, harassing, or abusing law-abiding citizens based on their choice to own a firearm and exercise their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms as guaranteed under the United States Constitution. Further, such a list, record, or registry has the potential to fall into the wrong hands and become a shopping list for thieves. So, I mean, that's I'm guessing, that's what both of us see that as, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So that statute is supposed to prevent this kind of thing from happening that this Florida sheriff is doing. Do you know how long he's been doing this? Because when I was looking up this story, this looks like this kind of goes back to April, or does it go back before that?
It goes way back before that. It goes back 2013.
2000. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it just came to light that they've been doing this.
So they've been doing this for at least 6 years.
Yes. In February, that's when it came to light, and Florida Carry started making inquiries to the AG of Florida about what's going on. As of right now, the AG has chose not to respond to it.
Okay, so I think you're saying, so Florida Carry broke this story? Are they the first ones to start looking into this?
Yes, I guess they got information. I'm not sure how they acquired the emails, but there were specific emails that they got that showed what they were doing.
Okay, and we have no one can contest the fact that this is being done, right?
That is correct.
Okay, do we know how big, like how many people are in that registry?
We are not sure. We know they've been doing daily emails. Where they say, here's all the serial numbers and the people who sold firearms or pawned firearms. Go ahead and let's look into these people.
Yeah. Now, is that only for their county or is that for the entire state?
That's just for their county right now.
Okay, so for their county. And that was Charlotte County?
Charlotte County, yes. It's south of Tampa.
Yeah, okay, so it's in the Tampa area. If you're in the Tampa area, you need to be really upset about this right now. One of the things we all need to realize here in Florida and lots of places around the country where you have sheriffs are elected. So if you're in Tampa, you've voted for sheriff if you vote, and you probably voted and elected this sheriff. You might want to do something about that since
Well,
he's breaking the law. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's not the same county as Tampa. The
I'm
county
sorry.
is
Yeah, it's Charlotte County. If you're in that Tampa area, but you're specifically in Charlotte County, you're obviously voting for this guy, right?
right.
Yeah. So so we don't know exactly how many people are in there so far.
No, we do not know. I reached out to the public relations officer
Hmm.
and have not heard back yet.
Okay. So
I,
public
I
relations for the sheriff's department.
yeah, I am also going to file a FOIA request to try to get that information, but that
Right.
can take months.
Right. Absolutely. That can take a long time. And then have they used this to arrest anyone? Because I'm assuming that they're using this to well, actually, you know what? Tell me why they're using this, because I really don't understand the purpose. Why they're like why they're taking this info out of the database that's supposed to disappear and preserving it, and then creating this ghost registry that's running alongside everything. Why are they doing that, you think?
Basically, what they're doing is looking for people who become felons, and they can say, well, they had a firearm. Let's go
Oh,
investigate to see if they have a firearm now or not.
right. I see. So they want to cross-reference it with people in their county that may fall into the felon database, and then they can go back and look at it and say, "Oh, this person's a felon, but we know they had some kind of interaction with firearms over here. Let's follow up with them and see whether or not they're supposed to have firearms." Right?
Correct.
Okay. And have they done that? Have they used that to arrest anyone, to your knowledge?
We do not know that. That's another thing I'm going to FOIA request from them.
Okay.
I inquired about that and they have not given me an answer, so I might have to force their hand by filing FOIA request.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to assume 6 years. Must have been caught up in this net.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure they were, but I cannot say for sure.
Okay. Do we know anyone that's come forward to say, "Hey, I've been harassed by these guys, and I didn't understand why, but now I see because I live in this county and I buy and sell guns"?
Well, the story's just coming out now,
Hmm.
so I haven't been contacted yet. I'm going to keep an eye out and an ear to the ground to see if I can find anyone who is affected by it.
Hmm.
If anybody out there watching this has been affected by it, or you were wondering why you keep on being looked into and you live in Charlotte County,
Hmm.
please reach out to me. Facebook's probably the easiest way. Real John Crump on Facebook. I would love to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Please let us know, because these are the kind of things I think that, living here in the state of Florida, this is supposed to be the gunshine state, John.
Yeah,
It's supposed to
not
be the
so much
gunshine
anymore.
state. Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
No, no. This seems more like tactics that we see in New York City, we see in lots of places in California. So this clearly is a felony. What do we do? Can we make a citizen's arrest on this sheriff? What do we do to deal with this guy right now? Since he's obviously a felon, and he also shouldn't have any guns since he's a felon.
What we need to do, we need to keep pressure on the AG of Florida to act.
Hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to write my story and try to get it out
Hmm.
there as far and wide as possible so we can make people aware of this and bring some pressure on the AG and force them to act.
Yeah.
GOA is already aware of it. I got a statement from Matthew over at GOA, who is the director for state and local affairs, Matthew Patterson,
Hmm.
and GOA is aware of it. They're looking into it, and they also stated that not only is it illegal, but it's unethical.
Absolutely. There's lots of things going on wrong here. When I was looking into the sheriff, I think his name is Pullman.
Yes.
Yeah. When I was looking into him, it seems like a couple of years ago he fired deputies over there that were misusing county property and things like that, right? They were doing some unethical things. It seems to me definitely, since this is since this is something that he himself is doing, that he should step down, resign from that post. He shouldn't be there. Definitely, the people of Charlotte County in Florida should, start whatever process they need to get rid of this sheriff. And you haven't heard anything back from the sheriff himself either, right?
No, I doubt I will,
Okay.
but I am giving the opportunity to respond.
Okay.
That's
And
the reason I'm holding my story. for
Right.
now until.
Oh, okay. When is your story coming out?
It's probably gonna drop tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Today is Tuesday, so probably Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That should give them plenty of time to respond.
Yeah, yeah. And then we were talking about the Attorney General here in Florida. I think as of this year, it's Ashley Moody. Ashley
Actually,
Moody's our AG, right? Yeah, and she doesn't seem like a very pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, or even constitutionally aware Attorney General. What do you guys think about that?
yeah, she's definitely not a friend of gun owners. She ran as a Republican, but she was a Democrat before,
Yeah.
and it seems like she still holds some of the Democrat values when it comes to the Second Amendment,
Yeah,
or lack of values.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were talking about this a little bit behind the scenes. I'm not going to fault someone because they were a Democrat and now they're Republican. I'm okay with that. As a matter of fact, for a long time here in Florida, I was registered as a Democrat because Florida has lots of crazy laws, including one where if you register as an independent, which I feel more like an independent, if you register as an independent, you cannot vote in the primaries unless there's an independent running. So lots of times, Lola, for example, did register as an independent, and lots of times she couldn't vote in the primaries because there were no independents running. It's pretty much here. We've got a two-party system just like everywhere else in the country. So it's pretty much either Democrat or Republican. We both did actually switch over to Republican this year. That's all fine, as long as you believe in this little thing right there. That's what matters to me. And I think that the issue that we have going here with our Attorney General currently, and to be honest with you, John, I kind of expect this stuff from Democrats, but lots of Republicans in the state of Florida do not value the Constitution and definitely have no respect for the Second Amendment. And to me, in lots of ways from what I've seen, are anti-gun. What do you think about that?
I would definitely say so. Florida is a really crazy place where you have a Republican governor, a Republican AG, and yet it seems like all the Democrats'
Mhm.
plans are passing in Florida
Yeah.
with the support of the AG and the governor.
Yeah, it seems in a lot of ways they're rhinos. They're de facto Democrats, but they just switch over to the Republican Party because, hey, the Democratic Party is crowded. Everyone's in that space. Let's go over here, but they bring their same values instead of bringing like values that should stick to the Constitution. It's disappointing to me, and I'm trying to do things to make folks aware in the state of Florida as well as around the country that this stuff is going on, and then start doing something about it. I think that starts with voting. We vote for these people, and we have to hold them accountable. We got lots of stuff that I thought that was anti-Second Amendment from Rick Scott. I refuse to vote for him for Senate, although he's there. I don't vote for him. I don't support him. I encourage people to push back and definitely not vote for these people. And or you can reach out to them and say, look, what's going on here, you should be able to reach out to your elected officials and tell them that you don't like things like this happening. And if you're in Charlotte County, Florida, you definitely need to reach out to your sheriff and find out from him what's going on. And when election time comes, do not vote for this person. If you believe in the Constitution, the Second Amendment, you believe in freedom, do not support people who do not believe in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So, your article's coming out tomorrow, so you guys will probably see this video once the article is out. We've been working with Ammoland, of course. John and everyone else at Ammoland have been very gracious and kind.
It's a great partnership.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you guys doing that. So let us know right here in the article, in this video, whether you see it on YouTube or anywhere else, let us know what you guys think about this de facto gun registry list. This is probably, John, not just happening in this county. Florida has a cajillion counties the last time I counted, right?
I think 63 when I was looking into it.
Yeah.
And we are investigating to see if we can find any other instances
Mm-hmm.
of this happening in other counties around Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone out there knows about this happening, let us know. Comment on it here. Well, yeah, 63 counties. There's a lot of counties here. And if we see this one thing, I would find it very hard to believe that it's isolated to Charlotte County. I would think it's going on in other places. And to be honest with you, John, probably came from somewhere outside of Florida, the idea to do this.
You're probably right.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any last comments before we get out of here?
No, I'm pretty good. Just look for my article to drop, and if
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH. I am using any video here with under fair use if you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc. And please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.